Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to this workshop on stories we tell ourselves that keep us stuck. I'm Dr. Sha'Rose. I'm going to do a little bit more of an introduction soon, but really, this workshop is one that it is a workshop. Okay, so y'all aren't going to just be sitting here hearing information, jotting stuff down. You're actually going to be doing some action steps, making some moves and decisions because, yes, that's what a workshop is for. The other thing is, I bring a lot of energy. Okay, I talk with my hands. I bring a lot of energy to this workshop, and I want you to be prepared for that. On a scale of like 0 to 5, I'm probably gonna be at a 5 of like not holding back. Okay, because frankly, why? This is all about the inner thoughts, that inner dialogue that we have as moms, as entrepreneurs, that really keep us stuck in spinning. They can really paralyze our decisions. It can help us, stay stuck. And it causes us undue stress. And in those times when really we just want to be with our kids and be with our spouses, maybe. It keeps us small. And one of the things that keeps me small is that I can be too much. I can expand too much energy, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that, one of those inner thoughts. But there's no place here to be small. There's no place to be, quiet. What we're going to do is we're going to fully delve into those inner thoughts. They're not going to keep us small. They're not going to tell us that we're asking for too much, or maybe it's unnecessary, or maybe we're asking to be too lavish. That's what those inner thoughts can do, and we're going to challenge them. So the only time we're going to be quiet is in our inner thought and dialogue. Otherwise, we're going to be loud. We're going to identify those inner dialogues and we're going to reframe them. Okay. So if you are ready for all of that in this chat, in this, I need you to say, I am ready. Okay. Because that gives me the permission to not hold back. All right. So let's talk about these stories that we tell ourselves that keep us stuck. Now, I like to tell folks where we're going, just a little bit of guidance here. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. We're going to talk about quieting that inner dialogue. We're going to identify where these unhelpful dialogues are coming from. And then we're going to reframe it, make it helpful, because we need to listen to ourselves. We need to listen to what our inner thoughts are telling us, but only when they're helpful. Okay. So we're not just listening to them to listen to them. Like, they need to have a purpose. Okay. One disclaimer though, before we jump into this is not intended to be like business advice for you. This is purely educational. All right. I am not your business coach or your consultant. And if I am, hey, but I am not. So, consult your person for specific recommendations and advice. Okay. It's me, Dr. Sha'Rose. So by degree and training, I am a pelvic floor physiotherapist, physical therapist. However, I am also a certified business coach. So I help folks really dive in, mainly my women, BIPOC, and then LGBTQ folks, dive into their business, understand what's going on, get them unstuck in things, a lot of thought work, and truly make us millionaires, because there's not enough of us out there, frankly. Not that, not women, not brown and Black women, and not queer people. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I am also a mom of two. So I have two little boys, 6 and 3. I love them to death, but also a lot. I'm a wife and I have 3 businesses. So when we talk about inner dialogue, I have a lot that I am going to share with you. Please, please, please think about who you are, right? Who are you in this space? What are you bringing to this workshop? Because that is what I want. I want to know who is coming here today. All right. So let's look at quieting that inner dialogue. That's it. We want to quiet it a little bit. We don't want to fully get rid of it, like I said, but we want to quiet it. So where do we start with that? The first place we start is we have to give that inner dialogue a name. All right. We have to. We just have to give it a name. And now, I know this might seem crazy, but some examples can be the judge, okay, the critic, Sheila. My inner dialogue can be, she can be fun. All right. She can be great, but she can also just be very detrimental. So the judge, right? That's the person who is like, why would you do that? That wasn't a great move. The critic is like, well, how dare you decide, that wasn't a great move there either. Now, to be fair with y'all, I'm gonna be 100% real. I told y'all, 0 to 5, I'm gonna be 100% real. Sheila is my mom's name, okay? And while I love my mom to death, I have been criticized my whole life by my mother. And so sometimes some of the inner dialogue that I hear and I feel and I just keeps playing over and over again reminds me so much of Sheila, right? Which, that makes sense, right? So what is that inner dialogue name for you? For me right now, my judge is the name of my inner dialogue. Judges my actions, judges my thoughts, judges the things that I feel like I should or should not be wanting to do. All right? Because the most important thing, if we can name the beast, we can tame the beast. Okay? So if we give our inner dialogue a name, if we can identify it, if we can pinpoint when it starts to show up, we can then work backwards and we can tame it. We can say, oh no, you're probably going to want to show up at this time, but I'm prepared for that. So right now, jot down some ideas, some things, emotions even that you feel when you get those inner thoughts and dialogue, and start thinking about a name for that voice that we hear. Okay? Now, we're going to introduce some thought work. Okay? So thought work is truly exactly what it sounds like. It's the work that we do in our head. And as moms, we do a lot of mental work. Okay? We're thinking about at any given time, what time is pickup? What time do we need to get ready to go to the family event? What time do we need to have everyone out of the house for work in the morning? We're doing a lot of thought work, and that's invisible work for some people. They don't see all the work that we do, but it's important because if a lot of things can happen in our head that keep us stuck, a lot of things can happen in our head that keep us moving too, right? So the very first part of thought work is when that inner dialogue starts to come in, that judge, that thought that's just stuck, you can't move past it. We want to pause, okay? We want to pause. That's the very first step. And you want to think, what are the facts of this situation, right? So an inner thought that I have had displayed over and over and over and over again is that my prices for my pelvic floor practice are too high. How in the world can I charge someone hundreds of dollars for what I do when one is so easy to me, it doesn't take me much time, and maybe people just can't afford it. And now I'm having to exclude people. That is an inner thought that I am constantly over and over having to work through. Why? Because I haven't done a lot of the thought work. I'm gonna be very honest. I'm a terrible patient, but I'm a wonderful everything else, I promise. But we want to pause. What are the facts of the situation? The facts of the situation is that I'm a very qualified person in what I do. I guarantee you're qualified in what you do. You wouldn't have a business or you wouldn't be working in the field that you are if you weren't qualified to do it. That's a fact. All right. What else? What other facts do we have? People need this service. That's a fact. People need to feel better. People need the service you're offering. People need the product that you're selling. That is a fact. You are the most qualified person to do it. That is a fact. One, because maybe you're credentialed, or maybe you've done all these certifications, or you've had your own life experiences. You are the most qualified person to do it. People should pay you. That is a fact. Because you are providing a service or a product, you should be paid for that, right? So the very first step that we take is pausing. It is finding the facts that we have within a situation. Another thought that I have, or an example that I've seen for folks is that, well, I need to be the only one that picks up my kid. I have to be the one that picks up my kid in the afternoon from school. And I have to be there. And it's a thought that can be paralyzing because, well, sometimes it just is not feasible for you to be the one that picks them up from school. Maybe you have a meeting, or maybe you want to go out with your friends, or maybe you just want to not do that. You just want to sit on the couch, right? But because this inner dialogue and this inner thought has been there telling you needed to be the person that picked them up from school. Now you are stuck in that space and constantly having to fight with yourself and your inner thoughts, but your actions on what you really want to do. So again, let's do another example. What are the facts of the situation of you having to be the person that picks your kid up from school in the afternoons? Well, the fact is the kid does have to get picked up from school. That's 100% a fact. They have to get from school to home. The fact is they need to have a safe transportation home. That's a fact. The fact is it doesn't have to be you that does it. That is a fact. Okay? Now we're going to work through that same scenario a little bit more with our further steps. But I just want to let me know. Are you still with me? Are you tracking with me? Are you thinking about this thought work? Have you named that inner thought and have you paused it so far? Because this is how we start to quiet it, right? We name the beast, we pause the beast, we quiet the beast. The beast being our inner thoughts and the things that keep us stuck. Okay. Our next part of this, while we have this inner dialogue pause, is what's the evidence to support the story, right? So we've looked at the facts, but what supports the story? The story being, I need to be the one to pick my kid up in the afternoons. What supports that? Well, sometimes my husband gets home late and I'm the one that most reliably can go pick them up. Okay, that's that does support the fact that you need to be the one. Well, I am the one who loves my kid the most. I'm their favorite parent. I want to be the one that they see when they get in the car and tell me about their day. Okay, that can support that story. Now, what are the things that contradict that story? Right? Here's one. Well, while I'm the first person that they see when they get in the car, I'm also the one that they don't want to tell me about their day. We just sit in silence until we're on our way home, until we get home. Well, that contradicts the story that you have to be the one to pick them up, right? You want to look at the things that are supporting your thought process and keeping you thinking it, and challenge them against the things that contradict it that can help you really reframe it, right? But we're paused. We've quieted that inner dialogue, all right? So now we want to identify it, okay? So let's identify it. So we paused it. We've done a little bit of thought work. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's identify a little bit more. So where is this coming from? Where is this thought coming from? Okay. We're going to reflect a little bit. Truly, kind of close your eyes, think about it in this moment. Where did this thought come from? Right? So for me, the thought of being the one that has to pick up my kid, that came from the idea of like, well, my mom didn't pick me up when I was a kid. And I really wish that I had spent more time with her, maybe even those 5 minutes in the car on the way home, to be able to tell her about my day and be able to just spend a little bit of that time together. So that means I, as a mom, need to be the one that picks up my kid. And that helps, right? So that's where that thought came from. It came from my own experience of not being there. All right. And then the example of charging too much for my services or feeling like maybe my cost is too high. Where did that thought come from? Well, if I really think about it, honestly, I didn't grow up with a lot of finances and money was tight all of the time, all of the time. And so to think about someone paying hundreds of dollars for a service that I provide seems very wild, because I couldn't have afforded a service that I provide, but I know that my mom would have needed it and I could have used this service when I was a kid. And so when I think about it, I'm thinking of my own experience, my own ability. And while now I'm in a different place in my life, I can afford my own services. I pay many other people for, their services. However, that inner dialogue tells me that over time I've learned that a high cost for a service or a product is so unattainable for myself. And so then when I go to build my own business and I'm doing my own pricing, well, I have to keep that in mind, that there are people who aren't going to be able to afford my services, right? So it goes a little bit deeper. We have to really reflect. So think about those thoughts. Where did they really come from? Okay. Now, we've thought about where they came from. We've reflected on that. Now we want to know, how does this thought affect you? Right? And we could talk about emotionally. Absolutely. Because emotionally, it's draining. Emotionally, I can sit for 20 minutes and think about something over and over again. And then I've wasted 20 minutes of time and I've gotten myself distracted. And now I have to work to get back into a task that's going to be helpful and productive. Right? So, how does this thought affect you in your day to day? In your day to day life, how is this inner dialogue affecting you? Well, one of those things can be, I don't take meetings after a certain amount of time in the afternoon because I want to be the one that picks my kid up. However, there's been this really amazing person that I needed to connect with, and they can only do meetings at 4 p.m. and I have not been able to connect with them. All right. So in my day to day, that really could be affecting not only my business, but also my home life. Right. What other areas of your life where this might show up? Okay, so this thought of being the one that has to pick the kid up, because that means that you are a stellar parent, a stellar mom. Where else might this show up? Does this maybe show up in those times where you don't say no to things that you probably want to or should? Does it show up in times when in business, maybe you're like, I really want to be that go-to person, so I'm going to say yes to this collaboration, even though I don't really want to work with this person? Where else is this thought showing up for you? Because it's not just affecting you with your life, with your personal life, with your family. It's affecting your business. It's affecting you emotionally. Where else is it showing up? Okay. For me, my thought of spending money and folks paying too much for my services, it shows up in how I spend money. I really go through phases of like super, super save and then like max out the cards. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but I do go through these phases where I'm just like, no, I deserve to spend money, spend the money. And then I'm like, oh no, I spent too much money, hoard all the money. Okay, so it shows up in my actions outside of just how I feel about my patients. And it shows up when I get on the phone with them. Because if I get on the phone and I'm trying to schedule a patient and I'm like, well, this is my price. And they're just like, huh, you don't seem very confident in that. They're not likely to feel confident in your services. But if I say, hey, this is a price, this is how we, help you with it if you need help with it, then they're more confident in it. So for me, it shows up in a lot of different ways. And then, of course, what has holding on to this thought cost you? Now, of course, the first thing we can think about is like money, right? Because if I'm not able to connect with an amazing business partner or collaborator and bring in more people to my business or get paid for a service, that's money, right? That's the easiest one. However, we need to also think about other non-tangible things like energy, time, capacity. Those aren't things that we can physically see, but they are things that do have a cost to them. So if you have a thought that I need to be the one to pick my kid up from school, and it's costing you energy because you just don't have it in you every afternoon to fight with your kid, to get in the car and buckle up and get home, well, then by the time you get home, you're spent. Your night that should be more relaxing and getting you ready for bed and getting you a good night's rest, it's just high cortisol, high stress, and you're done, right? So what is it costing holding on to this thought? Maybe it's costing you like capacity. You don't have the capacity to add another thing into your day. You've maxed out on your ability to do things. And first thing, like picking up your kid, is just too much. Okay. So we want to look at that. For me, the idea of picking up my kids it was a lot. I did feel like I should have been the one to do it, and I just didn't want to. I love my children and all, but I didn't want to do it. And so I had to talk to my husband and say, we need to make a schedule. On Sunday nights, we sit down, we look at what the week looks like, and we schedule in who is going to pick up the kid, which kid, and we know that throughout the week what's going to happen. His idea was that, well, this seems dumb because can I just like send you a text at like 3:00, like, hey, you picking up this kid? No, you can't, because that gets in the way and it costs me productivity when I am interrupted in the middle of my day to figure out what is going to happen with our family, right? So if there's adjustments, of course we make them, but it was costing me productivity because at 3:00, I would get stressed out of being like, oh, I'm really in the middle of this really great thing. And like, if I can just bust this out for another 30 minutes, I'll be set. And then it would be that balance of, do I pick them up? Do I not pick them up? What if I have to say no? No. So now it's, I know who's picking up who. We've made that decision. I don't have to cost myself productivity or stress or energy, and everyone can go about their business. Okay. All right. So we've now quieted. We've now identified. Let's reframe that dialogue into more helpful inner dialogue. All right. So now we want to reframe it. So what is a better way to think about this thought? Right? Tell me, like, what is a better way to think about it? Because if it's that I need to be the one to pick the kid up in the afternoon, maybe it's I need to ensure that our kids are picked up safely and in time to have enough time to have dinner, play, and us have some time together, right? That's a different thought than I need to be the one to pick them up, right? I want to be the one that ensures that they're safe. They get home safely. There's enough time for them to have dinner. There's enough time for them to do homework if they have it, and we can have some family time. That is the most important thing. So that's a better way to think of it. What's a better way to think about charging too much for services? Well, I know that I can provide a stellar service, and I need to be paid for that service that I provide. So this is the cost that it takes in order to deliver that level of service. I am providing an amazing service to the community, and they deserve it, and I deserve to be paid for that service that I provide. That's another way to look at it. Not that people are not going to be able to afford you. It's that you're creating such an amazing experience, service, product, that you deserve to be paid for it. Okay. Now, of course, when we start to do this reframing, we get pushback. The judge starts coming in, the critic starts coming in, right? That inner thought it's very hard to affect change. Okay. So really think about what would happen if you challenge that thought. What would happen? So if, for say, your husband, spouse comes in and is like, you really don't need to be the one to pick them up every day. You know that, right? How do you respond to that? Is it, well, you know what? No, I do need to be the person. Is that the response? Do you feel like you need to defend that decision? Right? So for me, when someone has challenged my thought of what I pay, or excuse me, of what folks pay for my services, and they've given me a challenge and they've just been like, well, you know, some people can't afford that, right? Like, you're right. Some people can't afford it, which is why I have these other ways to work with folks that are a bit more affordable. Or I have this option for people to work with them. Or my most favorite is I know another colleague who is more affordable that they can work to, and I can refer them to that person, right? When challenged on your thoughts, what is your response? What is your idea? Okay? Because is it defensive? Is it acceptance? Is it, thank you? Because it can be thank you. You don't have to be the one to drop the kids up, pick the kids up in the afternoon. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Because now I can go watch some TV while you pick the kids up and get dinner ready. Sounds good, right? But then what alternative perspectives or interpretations might serve you better, right? So that's that reframe. And we kind of talked about that a little bit already. Like, no, I'm not a bad mom because I don't pick my kids up in the afternoon because I'm building an empire. Okay. Multiple empires. No, I'm not a bad mom because of that. I'm actually an amazing mom. I'm freaking awesome because I'm not only showing my kids hard work and determination, but I'm creating generational wealth for them. I'm creating this whole life that we live in for them. I am contributing to our household, not only in the emotional ways that I can or in my physical ways, but financially and teaching them life lessons. So we can reframe this into so many different ways for us to truly feel like and know that we're doing the right thing and get us out of that stuck space. Okay. All right. So this one is a little bit of bonus because I am all about socializing community. I feel like that's how businesses and honestly life is formed and successful is we need to have people around us. We need to have a squad. That's what I like to call it, my squad. But who are the people around you that help you feel that way, right? Who are the people around you that when you're having a shitty day can come in and be like, nah, you're good. You're amazing. Give you that affirmation that you're needing, right? This honestly could be a whole different workshop in itself, okay? But think about that. Who are the people that give you that support, but also challenge you on some of those inner thoughts that are helpful, that we can help reframe, right? Who are those people that are around you? I would say a lot of the Madison Mompreneur folks are those people, but we also sometimes have to ask for them. Anyway, like I said, that's a whole different workshop, but it's very important for you to think about this in those inner thoughts because thought work really does start here, but it comes out, right? It starts in our brain, but it comes out of our mouth. And what comes out of our mouth is how we create our businesses and how we flourish in our businesses. And the folks around us that help us here in our brain and in our thoughts, the folks and energy that are around us that help us with that are how we are successful in our businesses. Okay. So it's a little bit of work, just a little bit, right? I have some action steps for you, but there's just a little bit of work right now. So I want you to identify 5 unhelpful thoughts that have been keeping you stuck. All right. You can pause this recording, take 5 minutes. You might not need 5 minutes. You might be like, boom, 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 boom. These are them. All right. But I want you to think of 5 thoughts that have kept you stuck. All right. Don't go anywhere. Pause it. Come back. We're going to do some work on those. All right. So I want you to do that right now. Okay. You're back. So now it's time for us to take action on those thoughts that you just found. All right. And if you didn't stop and think about those thoughts, I want you to do that. All right. I want you to take action. I don't want you to just take this information in. I really want you to make some changes on the things that are really keeping us stuck in these spaces. All right. So action time. Remember, the very first thing that we are going to do when that inner thought comes in, when that critic comes in, when Sheila comes in and is telling you over and over and over and over again, you're asking for too much. You're wanting to be too lavish. You're too loud. You're too excited, very eccentric. When that inner thought comes in, we want to pause. Okay? Pause. Because who are you? We want to name that thought, name that person, name that critic. Then we want to reflect because where the hell did this come from? Where did this thought come from? Right? How does it make you feel? Well, I don't feel great. And let's reframe it. Okay, well, while this thought is saying this, we can turn that into this, right? That's step 1. That's how we handle it in real time. Now, we want to be able to prevent these thoughts from taking over our days, taking over our time. I want to make this very clear. Our inner dialogue is not going to stop. That's our superpower. As entrepreneurs, we want that inner dialogue because it keeps us going, it keeps us creative. So we're not going to stop it. We want to quiet it. We want to reflect, right? We want to reframe it, but we will not stop it. But we want to keep it from being unhelpful to being helpful. So in real time, when we notice it happening, that's what we do. But let's go to preventative, right? Because I love a good prevention, right? So what is one small, meaningful step you can take today to stop the inner dialogue, to pause that critic, to stop Sheila from ruining your day? Okay? What is one small, meaningful step you can take today? For me, when I was going back to being the one who needed to pick up my kids in the afternoons, one small, meaningful step was texting my husband and saying, hey, we need to organize our life a little better. That was one step, one small step. Okay. He absolutely hates our Sunday night scheduling of our life for the week. However, it makes my life easier. It makes his life better. And our kids know what's happening throughout the week. So one small, meaningful step. It could be that you're going to organize your life, actually, right? One small step might be that I'm going to start using my calendar, or I'm going to, bring my 2 different calendars and bring them together so that I don't have stuff over here and I'm missing things. One small, meaningful step that moves us forward. Okay. Then talk about what are some positive thoughts or affirmations that can reinforce helpful stories, right? Because I'm a bomb ass mom. That is something that I know for sure. My kids are amazing. Know that for sure. Okay. These are things that help me in those times where I'm like, gosh, I missed this thing because I went to some work thing, or I'm not going to be able to be present for this. No. Right. What can reinforce the helpful stories is that I'm freaking good at what I do. And I need to be present in those times to do it. Just like I'm freaking good at being a mom and I need to be present in those times when I'm able to do that. So what are some thoughts, affirmations that help you? Okay. Mine are bold. Okay. Because I'm a bold person. So, but what are ones that work for you? Right. Another one is, how else will you remind yourself to practice thought work when unhelpful thoughts come up? Now, again, I'm sending this back to that squad because sometimes your part of that is like reaching out to the people around you and saying, hey, can you just remind me that I'm kind of a bad bitch? Like, sometimes you need those people around you to do that. Like, send me some emojis, send me some gifts, send me something that lets me know that I'm okay. Sometimes that is what that looks like. Now, other ways that you can remind yourself to practice thought work when you're having unhelpful thoughts might be working out. Some people really like to work out. I don't hate it. We have a mixed relationship with working out. Okay. Sometimes that's sitting outside, being in nature, taking a hike. Sometimes it's like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. You know what? I'm not gonna hold you. I'm okay with that. Wine is delicious, right? So how else can you remind yourself to practice thought work? Journaling is a great way. Get all of those thoughts out and go back and truly say which one is helpful, which one is unhelpful. Get rid of the unhelpful ones. Okay. The last thing that you need to do is update me on how things are going. Okay. Because I love being in people's business, literally and figuratively. So I want to know, how have you really worked on these inner thoughts? Okay. And now I know you're like, well, how can I update you? Well, here is my contact information. This is how you can update me. Here is my link for a consultation, a free consultation if you're interested in any like business coaching, or just want to know like, hey, are there any things that I'm kind of not thinking about? That's the link for it. You can send me an email or you can send me a text at the number. I want to give a big thank you for being here today, tonight, wherever you're existing in time, and truly being ready to take action and really solve and put a name to those inner thoughts and critics that are happening. Okay. Because frankly, when we're able to name the beast, we are able to tame the beast. And so I want to make sure that we are in a place where our businesses are growing and thriving and we're not being stuck based off of the things that honestly we can't really control. Like, we can control our thoughts, but we can't control time. We can't control other people, but we can control our own thoughts. So thank you.